Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we do have a brand new ETC ETH hash ASIC. This is a big boy. This is coming from Schwan Miner. It's the Schwan Miner C1. We do have specs on this thing. We do have some estimated price points. So we're going to compare this guy. We're going to see how it stacks up to the competition. So as it does release, we'll see if this thing would be worthwhile. So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So was browsing around on BT miners and noticed this listing, and it is for a new ETC ETH hash ASIC. Go over the specs real quick. It is listed here at 12,600 mega hash at 3,300 watts. Okay, what's hefty here is this price tag. We'll compare it to the competition so we can see kind of where it stands as it is, but this price tag immediately right off the bat for an unknown manufacturer already seems a little hefty even before looking at the specs. Okay, so not a ton of info on this thing. Their website is very limited. We did try to dig around a little bit. Just looking at the pictures though, we did find a video clip very similar. What does this PSU look like for any of you Ice River guys? I'm sure you have a good idea. It does look identical to the freaking Ice River PSU. As far as profitability goes with this guy, they pretty much did have it on par. They have it listed here as 19 and change profitability a day. If we go on what to mine and punch in the specs, so again, the 12,600 mega hash, 3,300 watts. If we are mining ETC purely, it's about 27 bucks of revenue, so about $19 a day profit, give or take, depending on what you mine. So it does have these other algos listed. Just keep in mind, we don't have the specs of how much RAM this thing has. So yes, it can do ETC Octa. We don't know about ETHW because again, it does have that larger DAG. So that is a limitation if it doesn't have enough RAM to support it, which we've kind of seen with a lot of these other manufacturers coming out for it. And then Octa just had recently their emissions reduction. So that's kind of why we switched gears there as well. But give or take, 19-20 bucks a day. Not too bad. Now let's kind of see how it stacks up. So here's another picture of it. We did find a little press release article about it. And again, if you look at that PSU, damn near identical to the Ice River one, which is kind of funny. So it seems like they sourced it probably from the same manufacturer. It does just have the generic specs. You do have a better spec sheet here, 12,600, 3,300. So again, does not list. Oh, actually it does here. So here's the available memory. It is indeed only 5.6 gigs according to this. Again, we're going to have to wait to fully confirm, but this does seem like, again, one of those paid press release articles. So it would be somebody from their team, their marketing department that would pay for this thing, right? This was posted on November 21st. And again, these things make it, yes, it's on Binance, but it has no affiliation with Binance. Again, very similar to like those PR Newswire things and all those things that just get copied and retweeted, right? This is a paid advertisement for it. Does have a few more pictures and stuff for it. Not a whole lot of info. Not a whole lot of info on the background of the company. As we go on, the only website we could find, very generic, right? All they have on here is we make Ethereum mining profitable. Once again, the first tier performances and reasonable price make Schwan Miner undoubtedly the highest ROI, which is in fact false advertising. We'll compare it to the competition and see why this is not true. But realistically, we have to wait to see what the pricing is, right? So if this is indeed the place that it's going to be, then it's 100% not true. Maybe this thing comes in super cheap and kind of surprises us all, and maybe stands to that. Okay, but as of now, we're going to have to wait and see, right? Digging around, there was a video, and I'm assuming it's the same video that's linked on here. Again, just kind of showing more pics of it, actual screenshots of the performance, which again, in reality, doesn't tell us a whole lot. Ideally would want to see a trusted third party get this thing in hand so they can really confirm and verify what's going on here. So again, a lot of the typical risk factors here, especially from these unknown manufacturers. Again, very limited info, literally nothing on their website, nothing really on their socials. Nobody really carrying this thing yet. Supposedly it is releasing pretty much now. The only one I was able to find was BT miners. And that's all the kinds of things that kind of make me worried, right? So the biggest thing here is obviously quality control, warranties, things of that sort. If you were to jump to one of these things, just understand that that's probably going to be pretty non-existent, right? So you're definitely a roll of the dice here. The appeal here would be, though, is if the price did come in extremely aggressive, because again, to take that risk, it has to come in extremely aggressive. But if they're just pricing it comparably to the competition, makes no sense to go with this unknown manufacturer when we have other manufacturers who are pretty comparable in the specs and much more well known. Okay, so let's get to that actually. So the biggest threat here, obviously, is the potential Jazz miner releases, the X44P and even the X44Q. Okay, so the biggest standout is the efficiency. So if we go by the listed specs here, the efficiency is about 0.26 joules to mega hash. When we compare it to, of course, these guys, it's 0.1, right? So pretty significant difference. So these guys are already significantly ahead, but the price point will also be significantly ahead also, okay? If we compare it to also some of the newer gen iPolos, which again, it's kind of hard also to compare to these because we don't necessarily have an exact release date for these, okay? We know that they're coming, we know that they're confirmed, and they're from higher tier manufacturers, but we don't know a whole lot, right? With the iPolos, we do have somewhat of a price point, so this guy is a bigger unit, but it is also less hash. Also much more efficient though. So it's supposed to be 10,000 mega hash at around 900 watts. So ironically, if this guy does come to fruition, it would be actually the most efficient unit. Again, it does have that memory issue though, that it doesn't have enough to cover EW. So the real metric we can kind of compare it to is the EZ100 Pro, right? Because this is their latest gen. This is kind of what's available now. Price point is even somewhat similar. So as we compare it here, even this unit actually though is more efficient, right? If we look at the efficiency of this guy, it is 0.26. Okay, so this guy's about, it's fairly close, but it's about 20% more efficient than that Schwann miner. Okay, so again, 15,000 mega hash versus the 13 or 12.6 that is listed here, right? So definitely nice increase in hash rate as well as less wattage. Okay, so even just the eyeball test, this guy's 3,300 watts versus the 3,000 watts here. Bombax at least has been around. They have been promoting their unit, right? Last year they were at Mining Disrupt. This year seems like they're going to be at Mining Disrupt yet again. These are the types of things we want to see from these companies, because if they are willing to invest in these trade shows, in advertisement, it's kind of giving more confidence in the platform, in the company itself, especially in terms of just having trust here, right? Because in reality, you're going to spend that kind of money, you want this thing to last, or you want this thing to be real, you want to not have a dud, right? Which we've seen previously, if you guys remember, with all the Cast Basics that came out of nowhere. Remember that Wind Miner, that piece of crap? You need to be more convincing to go with these newer manufacturers, right? But at the same time, that's also what we said about this unit when it came out. Very limited info, never heard of Bombax. They panned out to be, so far, seems pretty good, right? But again, at least they are spending the advertising money, making their way to these shows, speaking at these shows, making themselves more accessible, versus this being the extent of your website, right? That's kind of not telling a whole lot, which again, it's mind-blowing that they're going to spend so much money on R&D, getting this thing going. It's supposedly shipping this month, and this is the extent of your media materials, promo materials, right? It's just extremely weird, because obviously these things are not cheap, right? It's one thing, we'll see the official price points, but again, we're basing it off of what they have it listed here. It's probably going to be in that range. Right now they are actually listing stock on here, so it does seem like they actually have it. But again, for me, if this is going to be anywhere near the range, it makes more sense to go either with the Bombax unit, potentially wait for some of these other units to come out, which it's also hard doing that too, bros, because of where we're at in the market, right? We've seen the prices on ETC go up, EW go up, Okta go up. Like, it's what tends to happen when those assets go up. The price of the ASIC also goes up. Okay, so it's very tricky, especially doing any pre-orders, because there's so many things that can happen, right? Delays can happen, which we've seen. A lot of shenanigans can happen. Who knows? And right now, time is money, right? You got to consider that if the bull market follows its typical cycle, we're less than a year away, right? So for you to be waiting 5 months on a pre-order when this is the time to be really stacking, obviously the time was before then, but right now, you're running out of that time to be waiting on these ASICs. It's kind of a rough endeavor, right? But so in reality, we kind of have to wait to see what price point is. But in reality, price point needs to be extremely aggressive. Like it cannot even be 5 figures. It needs to be under 10K for me to consider personally. Honestly, wouldn't even like it would have to be under like 7K. So it'd have to be something extremely ridiculously low for me to consider. Considering we have much more reliable manufacturers out. Okay. One thing to factor in though, that's at this time, this moment. Okay, so what may end up happening and what they're going to be betting on is that let's say 3 months from now, ETC has gone up, Okta has gone up, EW has gone up. These things are all sold out. What is the only thing left? These kinds of things, right? So even if they're not the most efficient, they're most appealing, if the only thing that's available and people are feeling that damn FOMO, then that's where these things will end up shining, right? And when again, if you guys don't believe the scenario, just look at what's happened with all the script ASICs, right? So if those coins pump, it's going to follow the same thing. At the time when a lot of those released, they were not appealing at all whatsoever considering the other units you can get. The issue is when those units either become sold out or they now went up 3-4x's in price. Then this is kind of what you're left with, right? But again, it depends on where you're at, what you're looking at. Like for me, regardless of price, I'm not going to be chasing things. This is something I would personally have zero interest in. They can send me a review unit and we'll talk about it, sure, but that would be the extent for me at least, right? Too many unknowns, way too many unknowns actually. Like again, even at a crackhead price point, it'd be a tough sell for me, right? But again, to each their own. Everybody's going to have different strategies. I know a lot of people are feeling crazy FOMO and they want to buy something, and it's hard, right? I know I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys. Oh, what do you think's worth getting? And you're not liking the answers I'm giving because in reality right now, it's hard. It's hard to really recommend much because there's a lot of risk, especially this late in the game. Right? It's been the name of the game has been these past 2 years when nobody wanted these things, right? Nobody wanted to mine. Oh, it's not profitable enough. The ROI is 10 years. The ROI changes drastically as soon as that coin value goes up 2x, 3x, 4x, right? Which is a game we all know, right? If we've been here through this bear market, it's been that way these past 2-3 years. Everybody arguing that same counterpoint. And now you want to get in, right? It's like following Bitcoin price all the way from the low at 16,000 and then now seeing it at 100,000 now, and now you want to jump in, right? You guys are doing the exact same thing by coming in now. So not to say that there's not going to be money to be made, right? Because even if you were to buy BTC right now, it's looking pretty good for it to reach 140, 150, 160, maybe even 200. But the max amount of money was made for those people who bought it at 15, 16, that whole year when it was at 20, right? So it's a tough one, bros. But let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Do you guys kind of see it the same way? Do you guys think it has to be for these new manufacturers to really succeed here? They need to come in aggressive. Do you guys kind of agree, disagree with that concept? Or is this something you'd be willing to roll the dice at, right? At 15K, are you willing to take that plunge? Which I know some of you guys are, though, right? Some of you guys, quite a few of you guys actually did get in on this guy early, and that one did pan out pretty well, right? So let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I am out.